Welcome back to a July market update in the middle of 2025. I wanted to do this video to kind of break down where we are in the market, what is going on now that the big, beautiful bill, the major spending bill, I think it's going to be about $2 trillion over the next 10 years, adding massive deficits to the US debt, which is already continuing to rise. And where does this land Bitcoin? Where are we in the cycle? Where are we going? How do we make money? Are we going to lose money? Is the market going to crash? We're going to cover all of that in today's video. But first, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. That way you never miss a new video. We upload every single day. So make sure you guys also give the video a free thumbs up. Thumbs up are free. Crypto is not. Let's get right into today's topic. Cryptoviser, is the market going to crash? The answer to that question is probably, but it's a matter of when, right? A lot of people think that we're going to have an extended cycle. People are talking about this time is different. There's a different market sentiment. Retail hasn't even joined the party. Guys, we are literally, like quite literally at all-time record highs. And people are like, no, we're not at the top of the market. It's like, maybe not forever, but we are definitely at the top of the market from where we've always been. I mean, that's data. How are you arguing that 108,000 is not a few $1,000s away from the all-time record highs? That's ridiculous and absurd. Can we be going much higher? Of course we can. But we can also be going much, much lower. And it's not just me that is saying this, right? People are saying, well, Cryptoviser, Wall Street keeps buying, MicroStrategy keeps buying. They're going to keep pumping the price up. It's like they're buying like 10,000 Bitcoin every week or every other week or every 3 weeks or something like that. And while, yes, that is obviously a lot of Bitcoin, somebody's selling it. Duh. Just today, a dormant address containing 10,000 Bitcoin worth $1.1 billion. And that is definitely a Dr. Evil video. Anyway, it's just been activated after 14 years. And it was worth about $7,800 in 2011. Basically, they're now a billionaire for free. People are going to say, but Cryptoviser, if we're going higher, why are they selling now? Guys, they have $1 billion. Do you think that they're just going to leave that on the table? And this could be institutions cashing out. This could be Bitcoin miners cashing out. This could be early investors cashing out. Maybe it's Ross cashing out. I mean, there's so many different things, but this has been going on for the last 2 years. Where the hell have you guys been? MicroStrategy keeps buying and buying and buying and buying. If there were literally no more Bitcoin left, the price would be at $2, $3, $4, $5 million. But the whole idea of supply demand and the supply demand law is that the price goes up to incentivize more people to sell. And so we've been seeing all of this sell pressure at the $110,000 level. What do you think it's going to be when we get to $150,000? Even more than what we're seeing now. And by the way, it's not just me saying this. Arthur Hayes, former founder of BitMEX, says that Bitcoin could fall to $90,000. I think it's going to actually fall much lower than that. I mean, just recently, first of all, I've been showing you the charts here, which show lower highs and lower lows, which is a very bearish pattern to begin with. But the other thing is, we're also seeing, when we saw the recent dip down to $98,000, this was the first dip, and it was barely a dip. I mean, we went from 110,000 to 98,000. So basically like a 10 or 12% drop in the price. And people were like, oh, that's the bottom. That's it. That we capitulated. And I'm like, what? 12% drop? And you think that's capitulation? No, guys. Capitulation is when we drop to 50 grand, potentially even lower than that. But there's a lot of people that say, there is no way that is going to happen. It's like, why? MicroStrategy is going to buy it up. It's like, you don't think MicroStrategy is going to wait a little bit? If we're dropping, they're going to keep buying, but they're going to, if we go to 50,000, they're going to really start buying. So will I. So will many of you. But there's a lot of people who will say, no, Cryptoviser, we're going higher. We're not going lower. And it's like, okay, you're totally missing the point of how these markets operate. And again, it's not just me saying this. Arthur Hayes is saying it. So he said it's still likely that Bitcoin will test $90,000 again this year as the big, beautiful bill is now signed into law, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. The rumor, big, beautiful bill is going to pass. The news, it passed. It already passed. Now, this coming week, the second week in, or the first full week in July, there's going to be a stable coin, like the Clarity Act, or they're trying to like basically create a crypto clarity bill. And there's going to be testimony in Congress. So there could be a lot of volatility and a lot of fluctuations. But there's a high likelihood that they're not going to actually pass that this year, even though they're saying they're going to do that. What if they don't? So anyway, Arthur Hayes posted a blog called Quid Pro Stablecoin. Now, he said this bill that they just passed, the big, beautiful bill, could lead to the U.S. Treasury to borrow more. He argued that the Treasury would refill its general account, creating potential for a liquidity drain from the markets, and in turn, this will affect the price of assets like Bitcoin. However, he said that he ultimately thinks that Bitcoin will continue to push forward thereafter. He said, proceed with caution, the bull market might be interrupted for a short period of time. Well, either Arthur Hayes watches my videos right here, or he's just a really smart guy. I think it could be a combination of the both. Here's the deal. The Federal Reserve, the next meeting is, I have it written, end of July, July 29 and 30th. They are not cutting. Everybody thinks they are. They are not cutting. Rates are what they are, right? And I think that they're not going to cut for a while. The dollar, from the dollar index standpoint, the dollar's going down. But this doesn't necessarily mean that the dollar is losing value. It just could mean that other currencies are going up, because this is based on a basket of other currencies. And so we are seeing de-dollarization. We're seeing more moves to crypto and to other different currencies around the world. So this is going to weaken the dollar in the shorter term. Plus, there's all this tariff situation. How is this affecting the dollar? I don't know. Is this going to be temporary? Is this going to be a little bit longer term? Well, nobody really knows. And there's so much uncertainty, and the markets don't like uncertainty. The markets like certainty. Investors like certainty. They like these little things like, oh, 98,000, that was the bottom. We capitulated. Now we can just go up from here. And I'm like, that is not capitulation. When you think it's capitulation and you have to like question whether it's capitulation, just know it's not capitulation. Capitulation is when there is panic in the markets. And I haven't seen that yet. MicroStrategy. There will be a point where MicroStrategy drops precipitously. Now, I don't know what precipitously is going to look like. Maybe 50%. I mean, the premium is almost 100% on the underlying Bitcoin, the MNAV. Just that alone can bring the price down 50%. And that's without the price of Bitcoin dropping. If the price of Bitcoin drops and the NAV comes down, you're talking about potentially a 70% drop. Now, maybe it will only be like that for a few days, but it's going to happen if Bitcoin drops. And the MNAV is definitely coming down, because now there's so many other opportunities to buy exposure to Bitcoin without having that MNAV, because there's all these other Bitcoin treasury companies. So why would a company buy MicroStrategy shares at such a premium when you could just buy one of the other Bitcoin strategy companies at no premium or at a lower premium? That's something you got to ask as well. And so all these bulls that are saying no, Cryptoviser, MicroStrategy can never go down because they're just going to keep buying the Bitcoin. It's like, yeah, but they do it until they can't. Right now, they can sell shares in the open market because there's liquidity coming in. Wall Street is involved. Wall Street is buying. But at some point, Wall Street is going to slow it down and or reverse and sell. And the Bitcoin ETFs, they can sell off massive quantities, billions of dollars in a day, because they do what their investors do. If you sell a share of Bitcoin ETF and nobody's buying it, the ETF is liquidating that share, meaning they're selling the Bitcoin. So this is very important to understand these dynamics in the market. I'm also hearing a lot recently about alt season. And so where we are in the cycle with alt season, I don't know. Alt season may have already happened. For many altcoins, they did very well end of 2023 into 2024. Some did very well end of 2024 into 2025. But just because your coin didn't perform doesn't mean there wasn't alt season. Just because it's not performing when you want it to perform doesn't mean alt season hasn't occurred. The real alt season is in the stock market. So, guys, you have to remember, 2017, there were like 5 altcoins. It was like XRP, Cardano, Litecoin, and Ethereum. That was basically it. And then like 15 different forks of Bitcoin. But there were like almost no altcoins. 2020, there were a lot of altcoins. Then there was NFTs and there was DeFi platforms that popped up. This cycle, there's 20 million cryptocurrencies listed on CoinMarketCap. 20 million. And so there's a lot more. There's a lot more that's spread around, and there's a lot more concentration of the money coming in into the top 2 cryptos. That's it. And so this cycle, the real banana zone moves are happening in these stocks: Circle, Bitmine, MicroStrategy, and some of the others as well, including some Bitcoin mining companies. We just talked about Bit Digital the other day. Bit Digital, they went from Bitcoin mining straight into a full Ethereum strategy, like completely redesigning their business to stake Ethereum, because you can make money on Ethereum. Bitcoin mining, you're constantly putting money in into energy, into efficiency, into new Bitcoin mining machines. It's a constant flow. The same thing with AI data centers, by the way. They're very hot right now, but it's very hard for these places to consistently make money because they have to constantly upgrade and constantly deal with new money going into new companies, buying new equipment that don't have the overhead. And so the same thing is happening with Bitcoin mining versus Ethereum and Ethereum staking, because the overhead for Ethereum staking is much lower and you're getting a reward for it. Bitcoin mining, it's much higher, and the reward versus the risk and the work, I don't know that it's worth it. But anyway, Bit Digital, look at what happened with Bit Digital. They made the announcement that they were moving to Ethereum strategy. It went down about 26%. And then that looks like the low. It was about $1.90, I think, at the low. And we're already up 50% in just 1 week. 1 week. And so this is the banana zone this cycle. This is the altcoin season this cycle. Bitmine. This is Tom Lee is going to be the chairman of the board. They're going into Ethereum Ethereum treasury and also staking as well. This company was $4 before they made the announcement. It's gone up 35 times in 1 week. 1 week. It went up 35x. And so this is the alt season this cycle. I would say any other Ethereum company that comes out and says they're going to be Ethereum treasury, buy it. Buy it. For how long? I don't know. I would say any that make the announcement in the next month, buy it. Because I think we're seeing exhaustion in Bitcoin from these Bitcoin treasury companies, from people who want to invest in those, because it's saturated now, right? It's like with any market. Once it gets saturated, it's no longer exclusive, right? So MicroStrategy, what they're doing is very risky because they have to keep increasing their purchases forever. And now they have all this competition that only really have to just buy a little bit of Bitcoin and let MicroStrategy do the rest. And MicroStrategy is the one going in debt, not the other companies. And again, if they switch to Ethereum, number one, Ethereum has not reached all-time record highs. Number two, Ethereum gives you a yield. Number three, staking is way more cost efficient, way easier, way cheaper, very low overhead versus Bitcoin mining. But the yield is the key because MicroStrategy can give a yield. Well, they are because they're giving dividends on the debt, but they're going to create more debt to pay the dividends or sell more shares in the open market to pay the dividends. Very risky strategy. Ethereum has a yield. So regardless of where the price is, they're going to be making money every single year in terms of new coins from their staking rewards, even if the price of Ethereum goes down. But my viewpoint on this is because this is the meme season, altcoin season. I mean, altcoins and memes, I kind of think are the same thing. I mean, look at Circle, a stable coin company went from $30 to $300 and is now down up to $188. Still $42 billion. The market cap of Circle's USDC is $62 billion. So it's a 50%, about 70% of their market cap is what they hold in dollars. It's not, this company's not worth this much right now. So this is something to think about. You know, the reason I think that the next company that announces, I mean, we have Bitmine, we have SharpLink. These are both right now Ethereum treasury companies. These are the only two, from my understanding. But if we get a few more popping in, and we know the banks are testing on Ethereum, we know Ethereum is not all-time record highs. We know that Ethereum is the most DeFi and all of this. But Ethereum's ecosystem has not really had a pump this cycle the way that I think many are anticipating. And if we just look at the DeFi chart, you can see here that over the last couple of years, while yes, we have increased in terms of total DeFi dollar value locked, I want you guys to think about, look at this chart. It looks like a nice steady upward flow, but we're not at all-time record highs of where we were. And we know that Wall Street is implementing DeFi. We know banks are using DeFi. We know interoperability protocols are becoming even more widely used and more widely integrated. We know that Circle is highly invested in kind of this interoperable cross-chain ecosystem of money. All of this is very, very, by the way, the administration, the Treasury Secretary, the SEC, CFTC, the market structure bills, Congress, it doesn't seem like people are opposed to DeFi, which means it's going to continue to grow and expand over the next few years. And so where is DeFi living? On Ethereum and on Ethereum protocols. And so if we think about the altcoin season and we think about how well, even in a bear market, you could have done with the MicroStrategy trade during the previous cycle. I mean, MicroStrategy, as much risk as there is, if you've been holding for the last few years, you've done incredibly well, even through the dips and through the stock splits and all of that. 2023, about 2.5 years ago, the stock was at $16, and now it's at $400. And so great performance here as well. But I think that understanding that we're starting to see a shift away from Bitcoin and the narrative is starting to move towards Ethereum, and we're seeing these companies, when they make the announcement, pump very, very high, and then their market caps starting to match more closely, even at a little bit of a premium to what they're holding in Ethereum. But I want you guys to think about this. Ethereum has not even reached all-time record highs, and these companies are buying now. So effectively, they're buying the cycle lows, or maybe like the multi-year lows, you know, when you're looking at the macro. Bitcoin is currently at all-time record highs, and you have all of these new companies. Anthony Pompliano just said that he's going to be in charge of ProCap. They're going to be merging into another Bitcoin treasury company as well. All-time record highs, right? Bitcoin Maxi is doing this at all-time record highs. Think about it. Where would you rather invest in the medium term, right? Short to medium term. You want to invest. You're going to invest in something which is already at all-time record highs, has the good fundamentals, has good, foundation, has good investor base, right? Has use cases around the world, interest from banks and financial institutions. Same thing with Ethereum, except Ethereum has not reached all-time record highs. Ethereum doesn't have all of the capital inflows. But if you think about Wall Street is always looking for the next best thing to make money on. And so they're not going to be choosing Bitcoin anymore. I mean, they will, but like I'm saying, like, if they want to make more money in this cycle, they're all moving to Ethereum. And I think that we're going to see a shift, not just in Wall Street, but also in the crypto markets, a shift back to DeFi, shift back to Ethereum, shift back to layer twos. We're already starting to see that trend upwards in the DeFi markets, potentially seeing the trend upward with companies acquiring Ethereum for their treasuries. And so the Bitcoin trade may be over, but that doesn't mean all of the trades are over in the market. And there's potentially a lot of money to be made on the way up and on the way down. The Bitcoin bull run could peter out in 2 to 3 months, according to Rect Capital crypto analysts, saying we have a very small sliver of time and price expansion left, which I would agree with. You guys know this chart, the Bitcoin halving tracker. We have less than 100 days until the previous cycle and the previous cycle before that's all-time highs, days since the halving. And so I'm recording this in the beginning of July 2025, right? Middle of the year. 30 days from now, we're going to be in August. 60 days, September. 90 days, October begins. And so I think we're going to have downward movement within maybe a little bit longer than 100 days, within 125 days, right? Before December, the market will have the Pico top, because this can happen very rapid. If you don't think that we're already at all-time record highs, even though we clearly are based on the price charts, well, I don't know what to tell you, because we are at all-time record highs. And to go from here to the Pico top, we could get there in a day or 2 days or 3 days. But what's going to happen is, as we go higher, we hit 150, people are going to start moving their goalposts. Oh, that means we're going to 300,000. We go to 175,000. People are going to say, oh, we're going to hit 5 million this cycle. And there will be a point where it may be appropriate to short. I don't know about that just yet, because we may continue to have steady inflows in crypto, where shorting would be more of a risk than just not doing anything. But we'll have to kind of monitor where the market is. Rect Capital explained that if the Bitcoin cycle follows the 2020 pattern, the market will likely peak in October, which is 550 days after the Bitcoin halving, which occurred in April of 2024. He said that's already 2 to 3 months potentially that we have left in this bull market. And I would agree, even though a lot of people are arguing this point that we're at the all-time record highs, which we are, but there's still opportunity to make money, because I think that the shift, because the money doesn't disappear when people pull profits, it shifts. And it may shift to Wall Street, it may shift to Ethereum, it may shift to something completely different. But we're going to be right on top of it right here on the channel. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, give the video a free thumbs up, and let me know what you guys think about where we are now that the big beautiful bill has passed. Are we still at the top of the market? Are we going much higher? When is the end of the cycle? Are we going to have the end of the cycle? Are you following the Bitcoin halving tracker? Are you following the bulls that are saying extended cycle into 2026 based on absolutely no data? Let me know what you're doing in the comments down below. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you when I see you. Invest responsibly, and as always, say with me, crypto on.